Okay, so I guess we'll get started. Hi, everyone. My name is David Caesar, and I'm the lead agronomist here at Agritecture. And today I'm going to be give a short presentation about using the crop pricing tool within Agritecture Designer. And then after that, we'll just open up to general questions about Agritecture Designer or about your farming business. So give me 1 second and I will share my screen. Okay, so I think folks can see my screen, I assume.
Yep.
Hopefully you can hear me as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is do a quick, we're going to do one farm model, and I'm going to show you how the pricing tool will integrate with that. So I'm going to start a new project, and I'm going to use the basic model here. And when you're filling out the basic model, it's very convenient. We only have 6 questions to use to create your model. And for this exercise, since we're just focused on pricing, our location isn't really important, but I will put my location. I'm in Berkeley, California. And for this exercise, I'm going to model a container farm. And I want to grow mushrooms in that container farm. And we'll just use one container. Okay, and then I'm going to hit see results. Okay, and so what this did is this made a model for me for a mushroom container farm. This is a container farm from a company called Cropbox, which is one of our equipment partners. And this model modeled using white oyster mushrooms. Now, what I want to show you is, first of all, you can see the payback period here is 2.87 years. So it's relatively quick, right? But one thing I like to tell Agritecture Designer users is after you first run your initial model, it's really the user's job to refine the model, right? Because this first item, our crop pricing says $12 per pound, right? If that's kind of a price that's in our database, which gets pulled based on my location, but that might not be correct for your specific circumstances. So if I adjust that a little bit, let's say it's not actually correct for my location or the way I'm going to sell my mushrooms, and it's $10 a pound. So I change that. And you can see my payback period doubles, almost doubles, goes from about 2.6 years, I think it was, to 4.2. So not quite double, but it increases significantly. So this price that is in your farm models is critically important to the economic viability of your farm. So when you're making your models in Agritecture Designer, we don't want to just use the price that's the default price here. We want to conduct some market research to find a very accurate price for our crop. So that's what I'm going to walk you through today. But first of all, I am going to change the name of this project just so it's a little more, little easier for me to use with the crop pricing tool. So I'm going to call this let's call this Ask Agritecture Oyster Mushrooms. Okay. Just doing that so that I can find this model easier because I have a lot of models in in my account. Okay, so now it's called Ask Agritecture Oyster Mushrooms. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is come to the crop pricing tool. Okay, and my crop pricing, so the first step in using the crop pricing tool is selecting the crop category. So for my instance, it'd be mushrooms. And then I'm going to select my crop. And my model was built using white oyster mushrooms. Okay, and then I'm going to say add crop. Now, to get an accurate price for your tool or for your crop that you can use in your model, it's important to conduct at least 3 product evaluations. Now, for your product evaluations, there's a couple things that are very important to keep in mind, right? So the first thing to remember is that general research is okay, but focused research is going to be much better. Okay, let's make this a little bigger. Focused research is going to be much better. Okay, so really make your research fit the business model that you're planning to use. So for example, for your location, right? If you're going to be selling your mushrooms in downtown Manhattan, it's probably not going to be the greatest market research to conduct market research on mushroom pricing in New Jersey, right? Maybe the economics of downtown Manhattan are very different than New Jersey, even though it's only, like 5 or 10 miles away. Same thing here where I'm located in the San Francisco Bay Area, right? The economics for San Francisco for crop pricing are going to be very different, or potentially very different than, 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away in Berkeley where I am. So conducting your market research in the location where you want to be selling is critical. Second is distribution method, right? How are you going to sell your mushrooms or your crop? Are you going to sell it direct to consumer? Are you going to be selling it at a farmer's market? Are you going to be doing home delivery? Are you going to be selling wholesale to a supermarket? Are you going to be delivering mushrooms to a restaurant, to chefs at restaurants? All these things are critical in understanding, first of all, in conducting your research, and then secondly, in setting an accurate price for your farm. And then third, packaging size, right? Not the packaging itself, but your product size, I should say, unit size. So are you selling, I'm sure you've all seen, herbs in very small quantities at supermarkets. They sell, it's like a small portion of an ounce and it sells for a few dollars. So if you translate that to dollars per pound, it's like sometimes can be $40, $50, $60 a pound. But if you're selling that same herb, mint or oregano or basil, by the pound, obviously you're not going to charge $40 or $50 or $60. You're going to charge probably in the range of $10 to $12, right? So understanding the size, the economics, the unit economics that you're going to be selling your product in is very important, right? And also when you're planning your farm, right? Think about the size of the farm that you're planning and make sure it aligns with your business model, with your distribution model, right? If you're doing a, 1 container farm to grow mushrooms like I am in this exercise, I probably won't have enough volume to sell wholesale to a supermarket, right? So I need to make sure that probably a farmer's market is going to be better, or maybe delivery to, direct to consumer, home delivery, something like that. So you got to make sure also that your business model kind of aligns with your distribution method. And then finally, another thing to keep in mind is seasonality. Your prices can vary greatly throughout the year, depending on the time of the year and your location. It may not be quite as much with mushrooms, especially in my case. I'm going to be growing my mushrooms in a container farm, so I can produce year round. Most mushroom growers are indoors, so they can produce pretty consistently year round as well. But if you're growing a crop like basil or tomatoes or cucumbers, the seasonality, where local supermarkets are getting their product from is going to change throughout the year. What's available at farmers markets is going to change throughout the year. And at the same time, the pricing is going to vary a lot. So it's important to kind of conduct market research continually, understand how prices vary throughout the year, and use an average price. We don't, in our software, we don't have the ability, unfortunately, for you to change the price by month or by season, but to use an average price or a price that's, kind of represents an average of what you could get throughout the year. Okay, so I'm going to conduct my market research for mushrooms. So here we go. So my first step of market research that I'm conducting is I did an online search for oyster mushrooms, right? So these are organic oyster mushrooms, and this is from Whole Foods website, and I see that they're selling for $9.99 a pound. So I am going to now go back to my market research tool here and go to product evaluation 1. And so my price here, $9.99. Sales unit, 1 pound. Quality score, let's look at the quality of this. It's hard to tell because I'm not seeing it in person, but I'd say the quality looks okay. So I will say 3, but in reality, you're going to go to the farmer's market, you're going to go to the supermarket and really look at the product and do your best quality inspection. Packaging, I think this does not come in packaging. I think it's loose, so I'm going to say no packaging. Where I record this price, so this is at a supermarket, and select the type of price. So that the store is selling the product for the above price, or the store is paying the above price for this product. So in this case, the store is selling the product. And were there any labels? I believe there's an organic label on this. Organic, yep. So I'll put organic. All right, then I'm going to go to my next product evaluation, number 2. Go back here to my market research. And for number 2, I actually went to a farmer's market. This was actually some pictures from a farmer's market in New Orleans that I visited. So it wouldn't be good for me to be putting in data from New Orleans, of course, for my mushroom operation in California, but this is just an example. And since I like these pictures and I want to give a shout out to Mycelium Express, I thought I'd use it. So Mycelium Express, they offer oyster and shiitake mushrooms, $6 for a quarter pound, $9 for a half pound, or $16 for 1 pound. And so here I could enter any of these 3 prices, but what I want to think about is what unit am I going to sell my product in? And I'm thinking about selling mine in a 1 pound unit. So I am going to put $16. So we'll say $16. Sales unit is 1 pound. And you can see how the prices vary. So it's important to think about how am I going to sell my product and use the pricing that's the pricing size or the unit size that's most relevant. I'd say the quality looked good when I was there, I remember, so I'm going to give it a 4. No packaging. Where I record this price, farmer's market. Okay, and I don't know if this was organic. It was definitely local. and I think pesticide free. So I'm going to click those two. And now I'm going to go to my third product evaluation. And my third product evaluation is here. I went into the store and I saw these oyster mushrooms. And they come in a 3.2 ounce container that sells for $2.99, right? And so when I record this price, let's go back to our market research tool. The sales unit here, there is no 3 ounce or 3.2 ounce option, right? Hopefully people can see all these drop downs, but there's 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 4 ounce, 8 ounce, and 1 pound. So what I want to do is use the one that's closest to that. So I'm going to choose 4 ounce here. And I go back to my market research here, and I need to convert the price. So I use the math, and I just take 4, which is my target ounces, divided it by 3.2, which is the ounces that, or the weight of this package. So I get a factor, and I multiply that times the retail price, $2.99. So my approximate price for 4 ounce package is $3.74. So I'm going to add that here. Select a quality score. I'll give this one a 3. Packaging, we have a clamshell. Where I record this price is supermarket, and type of price, we're selling the product for the price. And this one, because I'm in California, it could be considered local. This is produced in Monterey, California, or Watsonville. And I'm in Berkeley, California, so that's only about 100 miles away, even less. So it's probably considered a local product. Definitely not as local as going to the farmer's market, and or if the producer is right down the street in your city. But so you can kind of make the determination. This product probably ships across the US as well. So in other states, it wouldn't be local. But in my case, I think it is. Okay, so I'll choose that. Now, once I've done my 3 product evaluations, I'm going to come over here and we're going to calculate a price. So my sales unit, I told you I wanted to be 1 pound. And it should say, where am I going to sell this product? I'm going to sell mine at, since I'm only doing a small operation, 1 container farm, I'm going to sell mine at a farmer's market, right? So, and I'm going to hit calculate here, and it shows me that I should, it's suggesting a price of $12.20 for 1 pound. Now you can see how this changes if instead I'm doing selling to a supermarket. There's because our algorithm here understands that the supermarket is gonna, it's gonna increase the price. They need a certain margin, right? So then suggesting a price of $8.24. But let's go back. I'm gonna say I'm selling at farmer's market. Calculate, gives me my $12.20, and then I'm gonna hit continue. Okay, and so now what I can do is associate this price with one of my projects, right? So we just did a project called Ask Agritecture. And since I have a lot of projects, that's why I gave it a unique name. Let's see if it's at the bottom here. No, so I gotta go through here slowly. So this would be one thing where how we could definitely improve our product here is, or our, oops, how we could improve our software is to put these in alphabetical order or have a search function. So, but hopefully we can find it. Here we go. It was the second one. I should have. Now I'm going to put add project here. And so now it's going to associate this price, calculated price, with my farm. So I'm going to hit submit. Oops, hit submit there. Okay, and so now these are the market research that I have conducted, and you can see here my white oyster mushrooms and $12.20. So now when I come back to my farm model, here's my model. I'm going to open it up. And so I think the initial price was $12, but now I'm going to come to my crop pricing tool again. And I'm going to say calculated price instead of, before it was giving me the default price or a custom price that I had manipulated. Now I'm going to go to calculated, and it's showing me $12.20 here. So the price that I just figured out using the crop pricing tool, click that, save changes, boom. And so my crop pricing has been updated, and you can see that my payback period is just under 2 years, which is a great payback period for an agricultural operation. So that's a little bit about how to use the crop pricing tool. Let me stop sharing my screen and see if there's any questions. Hope that was interesting for folks and helped you. Do we have any questions? Let's see, we have about, okay, well, looks like we have about 15 participants. Does anyone want to share kind of a little bit about where they are in the world, where they're considering doing a farm project, what crops they're considering for their farm, and maybe any questions they have about their farm planning or about crop research, anything like that. So would anyone like to, do we have any volunteers? Raise your hand in the chat. Come on, you guys, don't be shy. We have someone, okay, here we go, Mohammed. Okay, great. Mohammed, perfect. Mohammed, can we turn on Mohammed's camera and unmute him? Okay, well, Mohammed, I'm not sure if you want to be on camera or not, but let's talk about your lettuce operation. So, oh, there you are, perfect. Okay, Mohammed, we cannot hear you. If you can unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, right now here it's night time, so it was difficult for me to sit at office space and be online completely. We are planning
Well,
about
thank you for making the extra effort to join us.
Yeah, exactly. So I am Muhammad Bilal, an environmental engineer. I have passion for hydroponics and sustainable agriculture.
Okay.
So right now we are planning for development of a small unit to grow lettuce in Lahore, Punjab, Pakistan, where outside temperature is about 45 degrees. So we have to develop each and everything in a way so we can sustain that project. First at small scale, then we are planning to upscale on 1 or 2 acres maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So if I understood you correctly, you're saying you're located in Pakistan. You're growing, you want to create a small in-home a unit that people can grow lettuce in their homes. Is that correct?
Yeah, it could be at farm place, not specific at home.
Okay. Okay.
About 600 square foot or maybe 100 square meters could be.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So we can, and you want to grow lettuce, you said,
Yeah.
and you said the outside temperatures are very hot, around 45 degrees Celsius,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so, well, let's plan your vertical farm here. I assume you're looking at a vertical farm
Yes.
versus a greenhouse. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, because lettuce is a crop that's very sensitive to hot weather. Hot weather will cause it to bolt very quickly, to go into to change from vegetative to reproductive phases, and so your lettuce will begin to flower very quickly, or it will also be potentially very bitter. So yeah, in a very hot climate like that, we would suggest a vertical farm. So let me share my screen again, and let's begin to plan your vertical farm. Hang on one second.
Hey, David, you're muted.
Let me try this again. Sorry about that. Forgot to unclick the little audio tab box. Okay, now can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So for this model, we're gonna use our advanced form to build a model for Bilal's farm. And what I would suggest for Agritecture Designer users is when you name your farm, especially if you're creating a lot of models, I would put as much information in the title as possible. So it could be like Bilal's lettuce farm, or you could, of course, if this were Bilal's account, he wouldn't need to do that. He could just say lettuce. He could put, if he's doing models of different size projects, he could put, 1 hectare or whatever the size is. And then if he had a specific distribution method for this farm, he might put farmer's market or whatever the distribution method he had in mind. But that's one little tip I have, just to help you if you're creating a lot of models, to kind of find the specific model a little easier. Okay, so we are building this farm in Pakistan. Where in Pakistan are we building this farm, Bilal? What part of Pakistan?
It's in Lahore.
Lahore. Okay. Perfect. And actually, my brother was born in Pakistan many, many years ago. So I have some in a place called Shortcoat Road. I don't know if that rings any bells, but.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I know about it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we are going to do a vertical farm. And as far as automation level, we have 3 different choices: low, medium, or high. Generally, obviously, low automation is going to mean Most of the processes in your farm are done manually by manual labor. High is going to be more of a capital investment, more automation, less labor required, and medium somewhere in the middle. Generally, we see that in places where labor costs are very high, people will aim more towards high automation. In places where labor costs are low, or if the government may be wanting a job creation type program, people will go for lower automation projects. Bilal, do you have a preference here?
Yeah, we would go for medium size and medium automation.
Medium automation, okay, perfect. Then later on, you can, in our software, you can change the currency. You can change from feet to meters. You can change from pounds, kilos. I usually suggest that people leave it in US dollars because I'm not sure how frequently these conversions are updated. So it's probably you'll get the best results by leaving in US dollars and then converting to your own currency just based on the current market conditions. And then as far as, would you want to do this in metric or imperial units, meters or feet below?
Feet is fine.
Okay, and pounds or kilos?
Kilos.
Kilos, okay. All right. And then, okay, the site where you're going to do your project, is that land that you own currently, or are you looking to buy it or looking to rent a piece of land?
It's owned.
Owned, okay, perfect. And how big is the site area? Or do you have a building already or just a piece of land?
Just a piece of land having boundary walls only.
Okay. So how big is this site in square feet? Or how big is the farm that you want to plan right now?
Okay, let me calculate just a minute.
Uh-huh. Take your time.
It would be near 2,500 square meters.
Okay, 2,500 square meters. Okay, so that's about 25,000 square feet, approximately. So we'll just use that number. And then we're going to build a warehouse on there for a vertical farm. And we need to know how tall that building is going to be, right? So generally we want that to be at least probably about 20 feet. So we have enough space for multiple levels of production and airflow. So I'm going to say 25 feet. Now, one thing that's important here is that you own your land, but you don't own the building. So in this case, our software is going to model the cost for the interior systems of the vertical farm, but it's not going to estimate the cost of the building itself, right? So if for your model, since you still have to construct the building, I would instead put looking to buy here, and then you could put a cost for this building, right? So you could call a local contractor and say, hey, I want to build a warehouse that's 25,000 square feet, with ceiling height of 25 feet. What is it going to cost me? And then you would put this number in here, okay? So that's how to make your model much more accurate. Then so we have 25,000 square feet. Our software will assign a certain amount to different uses here. Some people will have processing in their building, or they might have it at another location. You can turn it off or on here. Cold storage, maybe you have it in the building, or maybe it's in another location. I'll say it's on. And then we're going to choose our crops. Now you said you wanted to grow lettuce. So we'll say a small head of lettuce. Do you know what type of grow system you want to use below in this?
We want to go on vertical tower garden.
Okay, so vertical tower. Okay, so that's a good, you're throwing us for a little bit of a challenge here because we don't have a vertical tower in here, but let's use we use an NFT system for now. And I can show you a little bit about how to model a vertical tower through our greenhouse later on. So let's say we're doing lettuce throughout the whole thing. And the insulation here, this question refers to the building itself. So if you're dealing with an old building, let's say, you would put
We
low
have
insulation.
we have to
Excuse me?
construct a new one. We
Yeah, so
have to
you,
construct one. So, what type of insulation should we consider? Can you
yeah,
recommend some?
so yeah, so if you are building a new building, you're going to put high insulation here. And so what this means, what this selection is for, is because vertical farms need to be highly insulated, right? Because as Bilal said, the temperatures outside are very extreme. They're very hot. Maybe in winter, they're also very cold. But inside the vertical farm, we want to have a very stable environment, right? And so the insulation level needs to be high. And so what this question is about, it estimates a cost for the price of upgrades and insulation to your building. So if you're building a new building, you're going to put here high insulation. So then it's not going to add any additional cost to your economic model. If you were taking a, let's say you were buying an existing warehouse that was old and needed to be upgraded, then you would choose low insulation and our software would estimate a cost for that upgrade. So you're going to put high insulation here, whether it has a flat or pitched roof, say flat roof, and then the desired number of grow levels. So since I said our building's going to be about 25-foot ceilings, I'm going to put, let's say 7 grow levels. Now, if our software will calculate the number of grow levels which will fit based on the crop that you're growing. And if this number is too large, it'll give us an error later on. So farm labor, Bilal, will you act as the head grower or are you going to hire someone for your farm?
I am gonna hire someone for my farm.
Okay, so we'll say no here. And then it's suggesting a salary for your head grower. I don't know if this $12,000 is accurate for Pakistan, but we can adjust this as needed. We'll just leave it as is for now, but you can adjust this figure.
Okay.
And then you want to choose the grower's level of experience. We want to hire a high experienced grower if possible, but it's good to put this evaluation in. And then it suggests a labor rate for farm labor for people who are, helping to run the farm, to do harvesting, things like that. $2.34 an hour. If this is not accurate, you can update this. And then the financing for your project. Is this going to be debt? Are you going to be taking out a loan for this project? Is it equity? Do you have an investor? Or is it going to be self-funded?
It's gonna be equity.
It's going to be equity, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then here at the bottom, we have sort of what our database has given for the costs for water, electricity, and taxes. So I'm just going to go ahead and run the model with these figures unless you see that they look way off. Okay, so we'll run the model, but you can always, override these figures because they may not be accurate for your specific location. So I'm running the model here. Okay. And so first of all, we have a long payback period of 15 plus years, but we don't know if our lettuce price is right, right? So that's what we just looked at market research, crop research. Bilal, do you have any idea what the retail price or the price you're going to sell your lettuce for? Have you conducted any market research?
It's in process, and I will get results soon.
Okay. So here, let's say this price is a little low. I don't know if it is, but let's just say it is. So we had a 15 plus year payback. Let's say it's $2 per pound. Save changes. Okay, and we still have a long payback period. So let's see what's going on with your farm. We look at so we're losing money here, as you can see. So we'll see, we'll take a look at why. So we look at our capital expense, and what I tell users to do is, as I said, when you run the model the first time, it's kind of our default data, and it's your job as the user to refine it. So for example, here, our grow system, we see that we need about 63,000 square feet of this, and our cost is $20 per square foot. But maybe Bilal does research in his location, and he calls the local hydroponic dealer, and they say, okay, well, that cost is too high. It's only going to be $14 for your location. So I'm going to update this price, right? Lighting, similarly, is a very, very expensive thing. Bilal's going to check in with his lighting operator and see how much the lights are going to be for his operation. Maybe they're only $100 each. Anyhow, so we suggest that users go through all of these different things to see if their costs are accurate. So this is a good way, from the beginning, you'll get a high level estimate, but it's really the user's job to refine this for their specific location, operation, etc. Now let's look at the operational expenses. So electricity, it's going to give us an estimate of the different uses of electricity. Water, it's going to tell us how we're using water for the plant growth, for employees, for cleaning, things like that. Our labor gives us a breakdown in labor by the different roles, right? And maybe what we see is, okay, a medium tech, medium operation isn't right for this. So I could go through back to edit project. Let's go to my edit project. And maybe I'll switch to low automation. And I'm going to rerun my project as is and see if my results improve. All right, we're still looking negative here. So maybe there's some other things we need to think about with this specific project. But this is just one way that you can kind of work through Agritecture Designer and really refine the economics of your project. And you know what? Not all vertical farming is very expensive, right? And so it may not be the right solution, or it may not be a profitable solution for every type of operation. Now, let me show you something, because you mentioned using tower farms. We don't have tower farms as an option in vertical farms, but we do have them as an option in greenhouses. So if I come here, let me build one more model quickly. Okay, we'll call this Bilal's lettuce tower farm. And so if I'm going to do a greenhouse here, let me just say low automation. and it was 25,000 square feet, I think. And I'm going to go to do lettuce again. And now when I go to my grow system, I can choose towers, right? So this is going to give me, it's going to give me a better estimate of the cost of the grow system. So let's just put high. Anyhow, I'm just going to run this model here. So you'll see now when we come to the CapEx breakout, the grow system, it should say tower here. Excuse me, but it gives us a different, it gives us a cost, a capital cost, which is much lower for the grow system, right? So you could look at this, you could run a greenhouse model here and get a more accurate cost for the grow system. And you could see your yield here through using that system. This is going to be about your maximum annual yield. Now this, you're creating your model is going to be a little bit more difficult because the lighting for tower farms is a little more challenging in a vertical farm. So what you might want to do, I'm going to stop sharing here. Something that might be very interesting for you to do, Bilal, would be to kind of create some sort of like a hybrid approach. So essentially like a warehouse type building, which will help insulate from the elements, but with a sort of like a skylighting type approach, right? So have some lighting, have sort of like an open top in terms of letting the light through, the solar light through, right? But still trying to keep the heat out and the temperature out. And so actually we have a company that we're working with called Hypar, which I can connect you with because it might be an interesting case study for your operation. So I hope that was helpful, Mohammed.
Yeah, sure. It will be nice. You can share story. And do you think we can use polycarbonated sheet to construct a greenhouse in this situation where we have temperature 45 and we want to grow lettuce? Will it be a good option?
You could use polycarbonate sheet to create like a polycarbonate greenhouse, of course. My main concern would be that it will be very hot inside the greenhouse, right? So depending, I don't know if it's very humid in your location or if it's dry, but if it's very hot outside, it's going to be even hotter in the greenhouse. So your cooling, your HVAC is going to be very critical, right, for your operation. So having a good HVAC system. So if it's a drier climate there, you can use a evaporative cooling, and you can model that. If you model a greenhouse, a medium duty greenhouse in our software, it should give you good information regarding that. If the area is very humid, evaporative cooling generally does not work as well. So you might want what's called a closed greenhouse, something that uses more like an air conditioning type cooling system, mechanical cooling, but that's going to be it's going to be significantly more expensive. So a polycarbonate greenhouse could work depending on the local climate. I would run some models in our software, and then you can reach out to us with additional questions.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, looks like we have about 10 minutes left. Anyone else have any questions or questions about their specific operation or their market research? Or want to introduce themselves? Looks like we have someone named Anthony. You can introduce yourselves in the chat. Tell us where you're from, what you're growing. Okay, it looks like Bruce is here. Let's see, is Bruce still here? Okay. Let's see, Bruce, you're looking to model a farm in, let's see. Okay, Anthony's looking to grow microgreens. Anthony, where are you located? Near London, okay. So, and that would, Anthony, would that be are you planning a vertical farm or a greenhouse operation?
Yeah.
I'm
Hi,
guess,
everybody. Can you hear me?
yeah, it's a little, if you could increase your volume a little bit, it'd be great.
And the dinging in the background is my son. He's 5, so apologies for that.
No problem.
All right, how do I increase the sound on this thing?
No, we can hear you
Right.
now. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm just outside London, and I'm looking to sell microgreens. I understand from people I've spoken to that these go for about £2.50 for about now that's an important thing. I have to go look it up. I can't remember what the unit is, so this might not get very far. This is you can tell I haven't fully engaged with the model yet because I'm still gathering the data.
Okay, well, let's do a really quick model for you. Now, so I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going back to my modeling tool and let's scroll down. Okay, I'm going to use the advanced model again for your farm. So this is going to be Anthony's microgreen farm. Okay, we'll do London. And so when we put in a location here, it's pulling the climate data for that specific location. We're going to do a vertical farm. Are you looking to do a small one-person operation, or you want to go large
Yeah, to
scale?
start with, yes.
Okay.
That's where we need to start.
Okay, and do you have a space already, a building that you're going to use, or are you looking to buy or rent something?
Yeah, it's going to be a sort of abandoned barn.
Okay. Do you know how big it is by chance?
It's vast. I won't be using the whole thing.
Okay.
So, yeah, we could call it sort of 10 meters by 10 meters to for the sake of argument.
Okay, so that's about 1,100 square feet. We'll say you own it. Ceiling, do you know the ceiling height approximately?
About 10 feet, probably.
Okay, so it's pretty low. So that's going to limit the amount of kind of levels you're going to be able to get in there, but that's all right for now. Now we're going to grow microgreens in our, you can see we have a lot of microgreens to offer. And when you're planning a microgreen farm, it's really important to conduct lots of market research because microgreens are pretty easy to grow, and they're harder to sell, right? Because they're something that chefs and restaurants use in very small quantities. Other microgreens can be used in larger quantities for salads. So, for example, a microgreen like pea shoots, either pea shoots or sunflower shoots. Both of those are microgreens that they yield very heavily They're sort of more, what's the word? You can eat them in a salad. They're more substantive versus a lot of the other microgreens are very small. And they're more just as like a garnish, right? So it's really
Yeah,
important.
I'm holding
for
a bag of pea shoots, a bag of pea shoot seeds now. So that was what I was going for. So I'm pleased
Okay,
to hear
great.
that.
Yeah. So let's do pea shoots. I used to work at a indoor farm. We grew lots of pea shoots. Let's say you'll grow half pea shoots, and then we'll add another microgreen just for kicks here. Let's say you do kale microgreens. Kale's a very nice microgreen. It's kind of very mild flavor, good to mix with a lot of other things. Good on sandwiches, things like that. It sounds like you have an old building that you're going to use there. So we'll say it's low insulation. It's going to need some renovation. And let's see if we can fit 5 levels of microgreens in a 10-foot space. And then let's see, we're just about out of time. So I'm going to do this really quickly. We'll say Anthony has medium experience.
Oh no,
And
low.
low?
If that
All
was
right.
very low, I'd not put that.
All right, and then we're going to see our results here. So when I hit see results, it doesn't want to load for me. So that means I need to scroll up. And so it's telling me that I can only have 3 layers of microgreens in that a 10-foot height. So let's do that. And now it's going to run. Okay, so microgreens obviously have a very high price per pound, but this may not be accurate. So once again, it's giving us a really good payback period, just over 1 year, right? But the questions that we really need to ask are, if I come down here, we're producing about 30,000 pounds of microgreens. Anthony, are you going to be able to sell 30,000 pounds of microgreens? That's the big question.
I think,
right?
I think that's optimistic in year 1. So
exactly. So we need to really kind of refine this model, right? Maybe the prices are accurate, but this volume is way more than Anthony can handle. So I could go back and edit my project and make it smaller. I could reduce the floor area on the of the building, or I could just say, even if the building is 1,100 square feet, maybe I only want to use 500 square feet in my first year, right? And maybe instead of 3 grow levels, I'll just do 2. And then I'm going to rerun this model. And let's see how much. And now we only have to sell about 9,000 pounds, right? It's still at these prices, our project has a really good payback period. But of course, we need to see if we can sell this and at these prices, right? So I'm going to stop right now because we're out of time. And so, yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone for your participation today. If you have any questions, thanks below. We have your info there. I will connect you with tell you about this other technology, which lighting technology. But in general, yeah, folks, if you have any questions about agritecture, about the work we do, about how we can support you, you can always feel free to email us. I can be reached at david@agritecture.com. If you're on our software, there's a chat function where you can ask questions, get support. You can also inquire through our website. And if you're kind of further along in your project and ready to begin to get equipment, we can connect you with Luke, our client success manager. So, yeah. And as Nadeem says, yeah, support@agritecture.com with any questions. So thanks everyone for your time today. I hope you found this, this webinar to be helpful, and look forward to being in contact with everyone moving forward. Have a great day.